Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rise Above All Odds. We are very excited to see who we've got in the studio today. As you can see, I'm smiling from molar to molar because Susie is so contagious with her smiles. Listen, guys, go just try now. Stop this. When we finish here, go to Facebook. It took me ages to get a picture of her because all of her pictures, she is with somebody and she's always smiling. And then I'm just like, listen, I'm not doing this anymore. Get me a picture. So I'm so happy. Let's just smile with Susie and see what she's got. Sis, do you want to welcome Susie for us, please?
Oh, yeah.
Susie, you are welcome to the program today. Thank you very much for honoring us today on this program, Rise Above All Odds. So you are welcome. Thank you very much. Over to you, Comfort.
Yeah, sure. What else? Just Susie, welcome and thank you for joining us. So the topic says purpose-driven tech, Ash Mufareh's shared vision. So whatever you have in mind, Susie, say it, and all of us, including our guests, will be dealing with what you put to table this morning. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And you say it's an honor. Well, it's an honor for me that you've invited me and that we could coordinate it. Yes, I'm an early riser, as I told you, Comfort, and I was up. I'm usually up around 6 o'clock. It's 8 a.m. here in Massachusetts in the United States, and we are enjoying some of the finest weather. It got cool here early. So, as you know, where I live, you get the foliage, the leaves change colors. They haven't done that yet, but you can tell in September things are happening. So I really appreciate you guys are so kind. The words you say, yeah, I am. I gotta say, I was telling someone this the other day. Um, just the other day down the street, a woman that I bumped into with her young daughter. And her young daughter was running around and smiling and so joyful. And she kind of looked like me when I was a kid. Okay. Here's this little 3.5-year-old girl. She had these bangs and she had this little belly sticking out. And I had, I've always had a little belly sticking out. And I was talking to her and I said to the mother, this is the first time I met them. They were visiting my neighbors. I said, oh my goodness. I said, your daughter, I got to say, this is how she'll look when she gets older because I look just like that. And I started telling the story. There's 7 kids in our family, and I'm number 5. And my mom always told me that I was the happiest baby out of all of them. She said all of the babies were pretty happy, but she said, Susie, I would put you up for a nap and I'd forget about you because you didn't cry. You weren't like crabby or fidgety. And she said, I'd go upstairs and you'd be in your crib talking to yourself, laughing, playing with a full diaper. She remind me of that. And she said, but you never cried. So, when people always say, oh, why are you, so happy and you're always in a good mood? I think I was just born that way. And it feels better to be happy and full of life than, to just be a downer. So I've always kind of been that way. And, don't get me wrong, ladies. We all have our moments. We all have our concerns, our worries, our anxieties. That means we're human. We care about people. We worry about things. But overall, I truly believe that if you look at the silver lining in a lot of things, and the positive side of things. And I know that sounds kind of trite. A lot of people are out there, a lot of motivational speakers talk about that. But I think one of my good role models is Ash Mufareh. I mean, when we really
Right.
think about, he's had a lot of lemons and he's made lemonade, as we say. So, what do you do with lemons? You make lemonade. And he too has a way of always finding that silver lining inside of things that may, wrenches that are thrown at him. And he's had a lot thrown at him. And he's been able to rise above it. As everyone knows, when we see him, he's got that big smile. He's pushing ahead. He's been so consistent in everything, no matter what's happened. I was thinking back as we were talking beforehand, I have had the honor and privilege of being with Ash twice in Boston. Once in January of 2022, and then again in March of 2022 with a larger group. And the first time, I met him live in person, I actually have a great video of it that his wife recorded of us hugging, and I took my brother Bob and a good friend of mine, Lynn. And I looked back at that a few months ago and I was like, oh my goodness, what excitement it was. And I remember I was hugging him. I go, oh, you do smell good, because we always have that inside joke of, oh, you smell good. But I got to say, that time, the experience I had with him, private conversations, and not about business, just private conversations about my life, my beliefs, his life, his beliefs, meeting his wife and his children, having dinners with them, and just sitting there watching the interactions and just who he is, how he shows up. And he's just so darn authentic. What you see is what you get. And, I think one of his sayings, especially his son has always said, how you do anything is how you do everything. And, one of the things I like to look at when I'm out with people, how do they treat other people? And just watching him with people in the restaurants, people at the hotel. There were people videotaping us when we were there in January 2022. There were technical people in the hotel making sure, the meeting was okay. The people bringing in, snacks for us and water. And every person he was in contact with, he was so kind, appreciative, gentle, and just you wanted to be around him. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this. I know I have. We talk about pruning. Ash talks about pruning, where sometimes you've got to prune situations and people out of your life so that you can blossom a little more. There's some people I've been out with before at restaurants or in a public setting, people that I didn't really know that well. But when you're out having at a restaurant or at an event or something, really, when you're with somebody and you watch how they interact with people at the table, people waiting on them, what kind of level of frustration do they have? What kind of language do they use? What kind of entitlement do they feel that they're being served? Well, I got to tell you, those people I prune immediately from my life, because who wants to be around somebody who is, entitled or mistreating maybe a waiter or a waitress because their meal isn't to the satisfaction of what they were expecting. There's so many better ways you can do things instead of being a nasty person. I have never, ever seen that side of Ash Mufareh at all. And a perfect example was when a group of us went to Boston in March of 2022. and we all gathered. There was a previous plan of where we were going to be, how it was going to be done. And, I think I've shared this story before, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But at the last minute, we were all converging on Boston. I was fortunate enough where it was hour and 45-minute drive. People were flying in. We had people from the West Coast, a lot of different places. And the venue where Ash was going to have us, the hotel, all of that, there was a major error made in cross communication of scheduling. So all of a sudden, Ash was dealt. He's got to find a hotel, a meeting space, and this is the night before we are going to have an event called The Top, okay? And we were waiting to hear from Ash, okay, where are we going? He was like, remained calm, cool, collected. And what this man did was he went around to different hotels because he wanted to make sure that we were all comfortable. It was up to his standard, because how you do anything is how you do everything. He wanted to make this special for us. So I remember showing up at the hotel once we knew where we were going. I showed up at the hotel, and there's Ash in the reception area in the lobby, engaging with the man working there who was going to be checking us in. He had a big smile on his face after he probably spent 2 hours, sweating, trying to figure things out. Here he is, bigger than life. I run up, give him a hug. He picks me up. We take pictures with the receptionist. I know, it's like he had just been through the ringer for all, and to him it was like, okay, you know what? We move on. We find a solution to what happened. So I looked at Ash. I said, what happened? Of course, I'm the kind that I like to hear the details. I like to hear the story. He goes, oh, I'll tell you later. He goes, I'll tell you later. Let's enjoy the moment now. Okay. So that night, people started arriving. I got to meet, people I had never seen in person: John White, Milo, Julie, Daryl, Chris Johnson, Sherry. All these different people were coming in, and we were all hugging, and we ended up having, it was getting later. It must have been after 8 p.m. Ash had a whole big table for us in the hotel restaurant, so people could eat and relax and enjoy each other. So then Ash took me to meet with one of the people, the nighttime supervisor. Okay. Because remember, he had everything all set at this other place. And to have their IT people, their tech people, because we were going to be live streaming, we needed to have that owl that kind of sits in the middle of a table that can view, I think it's called the owl, because it kind of looks like one with all the eyes. So the nighttime supervisor, here's me and Ash is like, hey, we've got to have an event tomorrow. What do you have for rooms? So we started parading around their big ballroom downstairs. And I looked at Ash and I said, I was at a wedding in this room years ago. I said, a good friend of mine's sister got married. He says, you're kidding. And I said, no. I said, this is bringing back such memories. They have a door that like opens and closes, a partition, so that the food, they opened up to the food. Well, anyway, we're down in that room and Ash is talking, and the poor night supervisor, he's saying, okay, we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. And, I kind of looked at the guy and I said, you got to make this happen. So they ended up connecting me with the morning supervisor, a woman who was going to be in at 7 a.m. so that we could make sure we had food set up, we had the IT set up, and thank God we had Julie Wen there as well, because she was able to help with the IT stuff. I know a little bit, but she was really able to help with it. So the next morning I was up early and I went down with this woman, and what I knew was what Ash likes and wanted for the day. How you do anything is how you do everything. And I felt such a sense of freedom to speak on his behalf, because he entrusted me with making sure it happened. Okay. And that we were doing it the best way we could. So I said to the woman, this was last minute. And there was a pretty big group of us. I don't know if there was maybe 15 people or so. So I met with the woman and their IT people, and then Julie helped. I settled all the food. I told her what we were looking for. Could she do this? I said, blah, 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 blah. And I got to tell you, it went without a hitch. They were able to set it up. There were a few technical concerns, but anyway, Ash showed up. He had been up all night, and he showed up, and we ended up, it all went off. It was, there's other stories about the whole thing in the background of how it almost didn't happen. Ash made it happen, cool as a cuke. After it was all done, and we were finally able to just chill out and relax, I looked at Ash and I said, so what happened at that other venue? And he looked at me and he goes, that's old news, Susie. Let's not even talk about it. The good thing is it happened today. And he goes, let's live in the present and move on. And I just, of course I wanted to know who did him wrong, who screwed up. And it was really a good lesson that it doesn't matter. We could point fingers all day long. We could make other people wrong. We could say, how could you? How stupid of you to do that? And there's Ash sitting there smiling, looking at me and saying, doesn't matter, Susie. This all worked out perfect. This is how it was supposed to be. So if you look at that consistency back over 3 years ago, and then that was, in retrospect, something very minor to Ash compared to what the journey has been for him. But he has moved forward with grace, with consistency, and I think people really need to embrace that. Yeah, people say they do, or yeah, we're moving forward, but really, really, really think about the weight on this man's shoulders as he has brought forth this journey and this vision and this big, bold, beautiful dream that he has for all of us, for our communities, for humanity. And he is making it happen without really complaining. Just the other week when he was on, lessons learned. He's grown from this. He talks about that. And I truly believe, you guys, that this is really a testament to him, to his character, to who he is really about. So, as you look at this man from the time we've all known him until now, he has been consistent. Yes, it's taken time. Yes, maybe some people are a little antsy or anxious or have questions. That's human nature. But I think if we focus on, look at where we've been and look at where we're going in this new vehicle, everything is going to work out and everything is going to be fine. Another quick topic that comes to mind as I'm talking about all of this is immunity to change. And I spoke about that in one of my recent, I just do some quick videos about the O News. And one of them is immunity to change. And I truly believe that we all need to go in to this new business with an open mind, without friction, and without that immunity to change that sometimes blocks us. So, what does really immunity to change? I can give you some examples. Sometimes you are used to doing things a certain way. You create a pattern in your life of how you do things. It might be a way that, as simple as can be. Okay, well, when we have a meeting at work or whatever, this is what we usually do. We usually have an agenda. We usually have a PowerPoint. We usually have a speaker. We usually have so-and-so take notes. We usually, do this, that, or the other thing. And then all of a sudden you might get someone, a supervisor or manager in charge, who says, we're going to do things differently. And people sit there and they go, but that's not the way we used to do it. We used to have Susie do this and Comfort do this and Fumi do this. And it's like, and people get stuck. I know, because it's happened to me. It happens to all of us. You get stuck on, but that's not how we do things. Didn't you know this is how we do things? But then you oftentimes are your eyes open to a new way. So what I'm saying to everyone with this immunity to change is kind of break that wall down a little bit and be open and say, okay, maybe this new business, this new vehicle is going to do things differently than the way we're used to doing it. And you have a choice. Like I always talk about choice. You can be on this journey and embrace it, or you don't have to be. Okay? So embracing it and kind of looking at the way, I'm sure a lot of people out there have listened to Ash several times on the way he talks. He's even spoken about this in the last couple corporate live webinars. He's kind of telling us in his words that we are going in a different vehicle and a different way of doing things. So it's really easy for all of us to fall into that trap of comparison and comparing the old way. Oh, it's not like the way we used to do. How come we can't? I'm just saying, everyone, kind of look at that, what blocks you. And what blocks us is usually fear, anxiety. We're comfortable doing things the old way. It's easier for us. Maybe there's less expectation to think. It's easier maybe to do things the old way, but it's not always better. It's not always better. So, I look at it as prune away all those words Ash is using. Prune away the stuff that doesn't serve us. Keep our eyes open and trust in the journey, because I know I do. I know, love, and trust Ash Mufareh. I have from day one. That's never going to change. And I am so excited about what is going to happen. I have no details. Inside information is not shared whatsoever. But I do know that from just some conversations with Ash, he is really, really excited about having some fun, interesting stuff to happen for us now, getting rid of all of the hurdles, putting that behind us, seeing the silver lining in it, but not rehashing it. Like, it's time to have FUN fun. And I know he can't wait. And I know it's going to happen soon. And I'm so happy for that man. So what do you think, you guys? I think, we are on our way, and you got to just smile and be happy.
Indeed, Susie. Thank you so much. I was just listening and I was checking what people are seeing. The response is positive, which means that everybody's agreeing with you. I'm not trying to go back to all you have said because everybody would have been listening, but I just want to touch on a few stuff. I think I was right telling you or looking up to you as a very happy person. Because when I go even through her pictures, Sister Fumi, I smile with her. I say, why is she making me smiling? She's not here. Right. So I agree with you. And I know that mom never lies. She tells you exactly what she saw when you were a baby. And why am I coming back to this? Because happy people attract people. If I know that Susie will just make me smile for no reason, I just want to watch her. Susie's like Chris Johnson, these two people, very contagious. Chris is just, and you're happy just looking at that. So you attract people, you bring people towards you, because nobody wants to see some grumpy human being just like boring and stuff like that. It's not interesting. And then why Ash? Why did you spend all of this time talking about Ash when it's business? But yes, because he is who he is. His leadership style has got everything to do with this business. The person in him has got everything to do with this movement. How he teaches us, how he empowers us, how he helps you change your mindset even before you know it. There's so much, personally, I have learned, many people can testify from Ash himself and the great people we have met through this whole movement. And that's what keeps us stuck together. We started in a few numbers, a few would have dropped out for obvious reason. Some of the trees were falling by themselves, and some would be pruned, like you rightly said earlier on, Susie, and in your beautiful words, we need to prune for blossoming purposes. Because if we don't prune, even back home, we do that to avocado trees, we do that to mango trees, to guava trees, to coffee, to plantain and banana stalkers. We prune them so that they will blossom and bear better fruit. It's just natural. We have no control over that. Nobody can do anything about it. So listening to all that Ash did, what is in your mind when you hear this? Because it means a lot. Because from the part of the world I come against Susie, Fumi, and myself, a human being like Ash, people like me and Fumi and maybe you, Susie, we don't know you much. People like us don't just approach him because that is the CEO of this company. You can't just go to him. But Ash is that person you can tap in on the shoulder. You can tell him that Ash, you're silly, Ash, you're naughty, Ash, you're this. He calls you his friend. Why is he doing that? Do you think he doesn't have people out there that he can rub shoulders with? Because he sees things differently and believes that things can be done differently, and is proving it that things can be done differently. How much of a family have we become? Why do I call Gina Lever my sister? Why do I call the brother in Papua New Guinea my sister? Why do I like Susie? Because I just know her image and not in person. That is what Ash has done. It has everything to do with the success of the whole movement we are in, called a business. We see it as a family. We see it as a team stuff. We see it as a union, as a movement, and not business. Because money is right at the background. Ash is all about transformation, about well-being, physical and psychological well-being. He's just that dad. Keep his age aside. He's that dad who cares about every child in the house. He spreads his arms that wide and hugs everybody. That's how I feel. Because the minute I meet Ash, I would feel like you do feel when you meet him, Susie, I believe. So it's all business. It's all what we're talking about. So I think Fumi and myself, I'm really so happy that you came and we gave you time to go through all of this, so that people who can't listen because they came for money and they're stuck to money, you'll be stuck where you are. Those are the people who are immune to change. They're not open-minded. Mindset is stuck to that thing where You join a business this morning, and tomorrow evening you become a millionaire, and then in the next 2 days the CEO disappears in the thin air. That is not what Ash is doing. I'm not stealing the show from Susie. No, I want my sister Fumi to be quiet forever. Sister Fumi, I just let you say what you want to say, given what you hear Susie say. Thank you.
Okay. Based on what I, thank you very much, Susie, for saying that, because honestly, when you mentioned some things, I could picture those things. And then you mentioned something about, him being an old man. He said it himself in one of the webinars. He said he's an old man, and
He
I just
is,
remember.
yeah.
I just said he's an old man in a young person's skin. I guess I'm just an old man, and that made me to chuckle a bit, because I just remembered him saying that in one of the webinars. I don't want to repeat anything, but what I just wanted to add to what Susie has said, which is, yes, there are people that are immune to change, not because they are immune, but because they've chosen to be.
Mhm.
But most importantly, with the consistency, with the resilience, with the grace and humility that our CEO has shown towards us, I will advise us to imbibe those things, because as we are, when a woman is pregnant, you understand, she goes through a lot of changes. And I want us to see where we are going, where we are coming from, and where we are going to, as that kind of journey. We are pregnant, we've had issues, the doctors have looked into us, we've rectified things, but we have a baby coming very soon. And you see, that baby is a very special baby. We've been awaiting this baby. We've bought everything that we thought we could buy, but now something has happened. We've had to change some things. Oh, before, maybe you are someone that, no, you're having twins. You're not having just one. Oh my goodness, we need to quickly adjust ourselves. But you see, we are the midwives that carry the shared vision is given to us. So we need to prepare ourselves to make sure that this new baby that is coming, we when this baby is delivered, we are delivering this baby safely, making sure it is a representation of where our CEO as well, you understand, in consistency, in resilience, in grace, in humility, in attitude, in character. Those are the things that we need to start imbibing now and learning, so that when we deliver these babies, because we are going to be delivering loads of babies. There are over 1,000 of ourselves. So if we are the midwives, we need to be ready, really ready. And those qualities are the things that we need to learn now. And this is the system, this process has actually given us the opportunity to do that. If you don't take it and use it, and making sure you imbibe those attitudes as well, then you are going to find yourself in trouble later on. But don't call anybody, because it's all your own problem at that point in time. But right now, we have a baby coming. We are the midwives, so we need to get
All the
ourselves
midwives.
ready. You're the
Call the
midwives.
midwife. Isn't
All the
that's a great
midwives.
show?
Susie, I've heard everything on this platform, but today was that new one. We are midwives.
Yes,
I'm so
we are
Yeah,
excited. I'll let you
that was
midwives.
speak, Susie.
that was great. Call
So
the
I will
midwife.
I will leave it there. Midwives. We are midwives of the shared vision. So
Yeah,
let us
Okay,
imbibe
now.
consistency, resilience, grace, humility,
Yes,
yeah. Okay.
yes.
a good words all, not just some. Thank you.
Thank you, sis. Go ahead, Susie. I'll let you speak. I'll let you speak.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. That was great. Call the midwife. It reminds me, and I think people may have know that show, but when I first met Ash online and we connected, like there's some kind of unspoken language we have with each other. And the first thing he said was, "Did we have the same doula?" And I'm not sure if you know what a doula is, but it's not a midwife, but it's somewhat, helping. And that just cracked me up. And I always say that to him. Did we have the same doula? When we sometimes think the same things or whatever. But I want everyone to keep in mind when we talk about, and you said it so well, Comfort, about being joyful, pruning. Who wants to be around people that aren't full of life? Because it is a choice. Yeah, we all have things going on. Yeah, we have things weighing us down, but we also have a choice on how we show up. What I have been doing for my pruning, which was long overdue, as far as, do you ever find, I love helping people. We all do. If not, we wouldn't be here. But do you ever find there's people you try to help, you try to help, you try to help. They put up stop signs, stop signs, stop signs. No matter what you try to help them with, how you try to redirect them, stop signs, stop signs. They find everything wrong instead of a solution, and you try to provide solutions. So there are some people that do need our help, and that we are more than happy to help people in our families, in our community, friends. But what I've started doing, and I recommend this to everyone, is who's draining your energy, who's frustrating you, who's putting up stop signs, and then who's only calling you when they need help, when you've been there trying to offer them help. And it's not that we want to be mean or angry at people, but as we all get older, it's really important to choose the people you want to be around, because you do have that choice. And I'm just, I'll end with a perfect example. How many times when someone's connecting with you, or you have a daily connection or weekly, or you haven't seen, how many times do they say, "How are you doing, Susie? Are you having a good day?" Or do you get those messages and calls where it's all about them? All about them. Okay. And what I have found with Ash Mufareh is any communication I have with him, always, always, "Hi, Susie, how are you doing today? I hope you're having a good day. How's mom?" Because he knows how close I am with my mother. Or he may ask about someone else in my life. It's never all about him. So think about that in your life. He is an excellent role model in that, you know, asking people. So it makes me more mindful. Like if I have to get something done and I'm on my own agenda and I'm reaching out to people, do I take the time to breathe and say, "Hi, good morning. How are you doing today? By the way, we have this meeting this afternoon. I hope you're all set." Do we talk like that, or do we send a message like, "Hi, are we ready at 2 p.m.?" Do you say that, or do you check in with people? So I recommend we use Ash as a role model. That's how he is. He's always cares, and it's not just baloney. He really wants to know, how are you doing? So anyway, I just wanted to end with this. Everyone get excited. I know Ash is really excited to get to the fun stuff, the interesting stuff, the exciting stuff. Look to see if you have something blocking you to not be open-minded to this new vehicle. Get rid of it, because things are happening. And thank you so much for having me on this platform. I've had a great time. We didn't really prepare. We just go with the flow, right? Right, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Susie.
Yeah, we're just three crazy ladies who came and sat here and did crazy stuff, and apparently everybody was happy because everybody's appreciating what you ladies did. So we're so happy and blessed. And like Susie says, Sister Fumi, because earlier on, Susie, you talked about, it might have delayed or stuff. Sometimes we think that it delayed because we are not in there seeing the process. Who invited you to see how this product we're using now, where they started, how long it took them to do it until it got to where we are using it? Nobody. We think that is whatever is delaying because we have the privilege of being there and watch the process unroll to where we are going to. As far as some of us are concerned, including Susie McCrae, it's just on time. And we like the way things are unfolding. We like where we are now. The future is bright. The future is beautiful. So that is what we have. I would really appreciate you, Susie, for coming. Sister Fumi, if you have one quick thing to say, you say it and then we can.
Then we're
No,
done.
I don't. I don't have anything else to say. I just want everyone to imbibe those qualities. Just like Susie said, it is important that we imbibe those qualities before we get to where we're going, because in that way you are opened to more opportunities for you to be able to, showcase
I
what
think
the
I'm.
vision he has given us. That's it.
Perfect ending.
Indeed.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so
Thank you.
thank you, Susie, for coming. Thank you, Sister
Thank you.
Fumi, and
Thank you. Bye.
yes, thank you, and see you again soon, Susie. Anytime you have time, we'd love to have you again, but we just have to have these
Of
smiles all the
course.
time. Thank you, guys, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us in the chat. Thanks for your contributions. You enjoy the rest of your day, Susie. Your day is still young hours.
Early.
We're at midday, so let's go now and get other stuff doing. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.